So, inshallah, we continue with our khawatir. But before I start, there is one brother tomorrow, he has open heart surgery. Early morning, we'll make dua for him, inshallah. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس واشف أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاءك شفاء لا يغادر سقما اللهم اشفه شفاء لا يغادر سقما اللهم اجعلها عملية ناجحة يا رب العالمين اللهم اشفه واشفنا واشف مرضى المسلمين اللهم اشفه واشفنا واشف مرضى المسلمين اللهم إنا نسألك العافية في ديننا ودنيانا وأهلنا ومالنا اللهم عافنا في أبداننا وأسماعنا وأبصارنا يا رب العالمين اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وشفاء من كل داء وشفاء من كل داء وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد. So before Ramadan we used to make this dua. What was the dua before Ramadan? So we were asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to reach Ramadan. And Allah answered the dua, we reached Ramadan, and we did our best. So now what will be the dua? Well, Allah accept from us. Allahumma taqabbal minna. Say, repeat. Allahumma taqabbal minna. Innaka anta as-sami'ul alim. Wa tub alayna. Innaka anta at-tawwabu ar-rahim. Okay. So we say this dua, Allah accept from us our good deeds and what we did in Ramadan. وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا mean forgive us for the shortcoming we did, because we could have done more and more and more. And subhanallah, my brothers and sisters, now you come out. 1 month of maintenance in the best dealer or factory. How are you going to come out if you have a car or this, mashallah, ready to go? And subhanallah, you come out with 2 things, that they are sound. Number 1 is your nafs, because Ramadan is about the nafs. Remember that. Everything else is secondary, is your nafs. Subhanallah, that now is under control, inshallah. And because 1 month of this intensive ibadat, it's more than enough to fix the nafs. And that's why we said yesterday, it's not polite. I know we say it out of good heart and so on, to say, I wish Ramadan is more than 1 month. Don't do that. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that is the dose you need and I need. And He gave it to you, and it's more than enough. So the first one, you graduate, inshallah, with sound nafs. And number 2, and these 2 you have to have them in order to fulfill the purpose behind your existence, which is to worship Allah. You need these 2 things. And take care of them. They are amana in your hand. We said the number 1 is your nafs, because your nafs can be a problem, can be an obstacle in front of you. And you see how many of us, it was challenging for them during the month of Ramadan, which is shaitan doesn't exist. But still, really they struggled. May Allah forgive all of us. And number 2 is your body. You need a sound body, because that is the only things you have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ramadan plays good role in that. So maintain that stuff, inshallah, till we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the fuel that we need to keep going, because I cannot keep going without the fuel. And subhanallah, this is where the mistake people do, and especially the mashayikh and so on, because of the pressure of the audience, they think that every Friday you have to come up with a topic. And that topic that make people pleased and happy, that's wrong. Because the airplane, every time is charged with different fuels or the same fuel? Answer. What about sometimes it, well, let's change. Because some people, they told the khatib or the sheikh, or, oh, you are recycling. And people, then the sheikh, without paying attention to what is his real job, then also he goes with that. ما يطلبه المستمعون. What the listeners wants to hear. No, if you know your job, you keep giving the same fuel. Imagine the people that fuel the plane sometimes said, well, always we give fuel, let's give water this time, let's fill it with water. Is it gonna work?
No.
Why?
That's not the right fuel.
Because the plane is designed to take only this. So that's what the Prophet ﷺ, if you see his speeches, is about one thing. The exception, if there is an emergency, there is this, then he talks about it. Because the job is to fuel the people and let them go outside. Each one will take different direction. And I'm trying to give this example that you can relate to. Subhanallah, the airport is filled with airplanes, especially those big airports if you go to them. They are fueled with the same fuel, but each airplane will take different destination. So we are the same. Subhanallah, we come here, and this is the mission of the masajid, is to fuel people and let them go outside. Because Islam is outside the masjid, not inside the masjid. It's over there when you practice, when you do. So this fuel that the Prophet ﷺ is doing is al-iman billahi wal yawm al-akhir. To believe in Allah and the Day of Judgment. Wallah, my brothers and sisters, there is nothing that will motivate you and keep motivating you except these two things. That's why you find the Quran and Sunnah, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to move people, He said, whosoever believe in Allah and the Day of Judgment. The Hadith, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر إيش? Can you give me a Hadith? Whosoever believe in Allah and the Day of Judgment, what? فليقل خيرا. He'll let him say something or keep quiet. من كان يؤمن بالله يوم الآخر إيش؟ فليكرم ضيفه فليكرم جاره. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر. This. Because there is nothing that can motivate you than these things. Because your heart is designed for this fuel. It doesn't accept anything else. And nothing else except this. Subhanallah. And that's why the Sahaba, they were always on the run. And the number one is to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to believe in Allah, I mean to know Him. I can see that without any hesitation that all of us, we don't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yet very well. The only one who knows Him the best is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why he used to tell the Sahaba, the companion, this, Wallah, I know Allah more than any one of you. Wallahi inni la'alakum billah. A'lamukum billah. And the implication of this knowledge comes what? In the same hadith, what did he say? Wallahi inni a'lamukum billahi wa akhshakum atqakum ilayh. And I am the one that fears Him the most. Why he fears Him the most? Because he knows Him. That's why the slogan we've been saying many times, the more you know Him, the more you love Him. The more you know Him, the more you trust Him. The more you know Him, the more you worship Him. The more you know Him, the more you fear Him. The more you know Him, the more you have hope in Him. The more you know Him, the more you ask Him. The more you know Him, the more you humble self to Him. And keep going. It starts with knowing Him. That's why He said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Get to know Him. Get to know your Creator. That's why 13 years of Mecca, there is nothing else. It's just to tell the Muslim about Allah and the Day of Judgment. That's it. Subhanallah, after that, Huma themselves, the companions, start coming and said, Ya Rasulullah, tell us what Allah loves the most. We want to do it. What pleases Him? What? So we need to do that and go back to the same. And this is the ayah that I told you was the job of the Prophet ﷺ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. And there is nothing, there is no source that can tell you about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Quran, the Sunnah. That's it. Because Quran is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most of the Quran. Sunnah is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who's Allah? And that's why, how to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is through His what? It's not like us. I get to know you because we can meet, we can see each other in person. Can you do that with Allah? No. So how we know Him? By His actions. And His actions are the manifestation of what you said. His names and attributes. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us these 99 names. Otherwise, Allah has more than 99 names, by the way. But this that we need. And the more you know this name, subhanallah. Wallah, I was reading about Ash-Shakur. What does it mean, Shakur? Yeah, something like that. The one who appreciates. If I tell you there is a deal, and for sure you're going to make a lot of money, and you went and you did that, and you benefited, who should appreciate the other one? No, I tell you about the deal. Who should thank and appreciate the other one? You or me? I should appreciate you. You should appreciate me. Why? Yeah, because I told you about the deal, mashallah. Imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you about the deals, and you go and you do them, and He appreciates them. He tells you, من نفس عن مسلم كربة من كرب الدنيا, إيش؟ نفس الله عنه كربة. Whosoever ease the calamity or the difficulty of a believer, Allah will ease. So I told you about this deal. You went and you did it. And I appreciated. What kind of karam? What is the problem of people today, especially among families? You do a lot and nobody appreciates that. Hey, فالشكور, when you know what does it mean, shakur, subhanallah. He appreciates the little. How many times you did a lot for your children and you said, this is nothing, what you did for me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَظْلِمُ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ. What is a dharra? Dharra is the smallest things in existence. You do that, He appreciates it. And He gives you. That's why, and I will stop here because we're going to, inshallah, go in this in detail. That's why I'm telling you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has two ways to deal with His servants. The believers and the non-believers. Why you see the non-believers, they have everything almost. And sometimes you see that I'm the believer and I'm not having this. One of the reasons, because Allah is shakur. These people, they did something good. I have to pay them. Because I'm not going to pay them in the hereafter because they have no iman. So Allah gives them everything here. For whatever they did good. Even an atheist. Imagine an atheist that says what? What is an atheist?
A person who doesn't believe in
Who say God doesn't exist. That man, if he does something good, helping a poor, removing harms or whatever, Allah appreciates that and He pays him for that. Because he's shakur. But He will not pay him over there. That's why I told you, remember this verse in Surah Zukhruf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, what I'm giving them that you see too much, for me still it's not. Because if I'm not of the fear, if I give them what I'm supposed to give them, that everybody will become disbelievers. If Allah give them what really He wants to give them, all of us will be disbelievers. Because all of us will want that stuff. Allah didn't give them that much just because for us not to live Islam. Otherwise, He will give them. For what? For the good that they did. And I told you who's the number one enemy of Allah? Who? Shaitan. Allah gave him for the good that he did. Because he used to pray before Adam and he used to worship Allah. That is something good. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't let anything in vain. So what do you want? He said, I want one thing. What is this thing? Stay till the end. Okay, he said, there you go. Get it. Because of that good that he used to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the kuffar, وَلَوْلَا أَنْ يَكُونَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If it's not that everybody will become one ummah. One ummah of what? Disbelief. Everybody will disbelieve in me. لَجَعَلْتُ لَجَعَلْنَا لمن لجعلنا لمن يكفر بالرحمن لبيوتهم سقفا من فضة. Look, Allah has said their houses, the roof and the ceiling and the walls of these houses will be from silver. We are not talking about stucco or bricks or whatever. فضة ومعارج عليها. ايش؟ What does it mean معارج? Elevators. Elevators was mentioned 1500 years ago. So what does it mean, elevators? When elevators is mentioned in the verse, what does it mean? We are talking about huge buildings and houses. Otherwise, you don't need the elevator for one story. ومعارج عليها يظهرون ولبيوتهم وابوابا وسرور عليها وزخرفا. That's why the surah was named Zukhruf. Look what Allah is going to give them. Then he said after that, what's that? All of this, because it's limited, it's only in this dunya. What did he say? وَإِن كُلُّ ذَلِكَ لَمَّا مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Okay, then. But for you, because you believe in Him, He said there is another life forever. If I didn't give you here, does not mean I forget about you. I love you. I'm going to keep everything for you there. That's why who is the one that he dies, the poorest person, is the Prophet. He died as poor. How do we know that he died as poor? He has his shield in collateral with a Jew. يعني درعه مرهون عند يهودي. Does not mean he was poor because he was lazy. No. Because whatever he receives, a lot, what he does, give it. But he's going to be what? On the day of judgment? The richest. That's why his place in Al-Jannah is where? Not Al-Firdaus. Al-Maqam Al-Mahmud. Al-Maqam Al-Mahmud. You know that when we make the adhan and we make the dua, is the highest place in Al-Jannah. So, as I said, my brothers, when we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it gives you few things. Number one, you love Him. Really, you love Him. Because what He did to you. And we're going to talk about this in detail. And when you know the hereafter, you know what He has prepared for you. SubhanAllah, in the Quran, after He spoke in details about Al-Jannah, at the end, what did He say? And we stop here, I promise you. فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ. He said, I'm not going to tell you what I have for you. And when Allah said that, it's to bring your attention. Allah is telling me, I have something for you. فلا تعلم نفس ما أخفيت لهم من قرة أعين جزاء بما كانوا يعملون. So my brothers and sisters, listen to this and work on this. To believe الإيمان بالله يوم الآخر, it makes this heart full battery. You know, people at night, they go to near vans or whatever for Tesla station. To do what? Full battery. That's what Iman does. You go from the masjid, your concern, Ya Rabb, help me to do something good. You compete, as I said. And the Muslim, what we are doing now, not because the Muslims are bad, but they are not charged. Unfortunately, people who are supposed to charge them, they are not doing their job anymore. Until you see people, and please, I'm taking to another level, inshallah, because we already bypassed the first one. From fiqh point of view, is something. But the reality, somebody will come to me and say, Sheikh, I missed few days in Ramadan. Okay, 3 days. I want to make them up. Can I make them with the intention of the 6 days? From fiqh point of view, yes or no, that's not the issue. What are you doing? You want discounting everything in your deen? You want to go for the low, for the minimum? No. You go up. So once you are charged, you're going to make up the days. You're going to do the 6 days. And you're going to do Monday. And you're going to do Thursday. And because you are ready to go. So may Allah help us and strengthen our iman. And may Allah help us to get to know our Creator. Because when we know Him, that is the key to success. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الصلاة خير من النوم. Just leave him, just leave him. Leave him. He relax. Salam. 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 Take picture of him. Salam. He's tired. He enjoyed the talks. Huh? Yeah, I know.